I never truly slept. Even when the sun dipped behind the brown rooftops and the red ducks settled for the night, the city still breathes. Through the distant honk of downfall buses, the calls of night traders, the laughter from beer parlors, and the soft hum of generators fighting Nepal's darkness. But long before Ibadan became loud and restless each day, one woman was always awake. Her name was Mama Adeshina, though nobody really called her that anymore. Everyone, young and old, rich and poor, educated and illiterate, knew her by the one name, Madame Sweet Lick Fingers. Years ago, before the queues, before the fame, before the buses stopping without conductors shouting, before married women started quarreling in their homes because of food, Mama Adeshina owned a tiny buka in one quiet local government area of Ibadan. It sat at the edge of a dusty road, not far from a mechanic workshop and a line of old shops selling spare parts, kerosene, and recharge cards. A buka was nothing special to look at. Four wooden tables, mismatched plastic chairs, a zinc roof that rattled loudly whenever rain fell. And from that very first day, she opened that place. Something was different. Mama Adeshina was a chubby Yoruba woman, thick from shoulder to hip, with soft arms that shook slightly when she laughed. Her skin glowed dark and smooth, always shining from palm oil, sweat, or both. She tied a wrapper tightly around her waist, layered another one on top, and wore old blouses whose buttons had long given up trying to hold her body. Her face was round, always warmed, and always smiling, and her hands were strong, hands that had pounded yams since childhood, hands that could lift steaming pots without flinching, hands that stirred soup like they were calming a restless child. She started small, very small. One pot of egusi soup, one pot of eforiro, a small pot of gbegiri, and another for ewedu. White rice cooked in a dented aluminum pot. Sometimes yam, sometimes amala. Nothing fancy, yet by 10 a.m., people will already start drifting in. At first, it was mechanics, then bus drivers, then market women who said, Jekun jẹun ní báyìí, oúnjẹ obìnrin yẹn dùn jù. Let me eat here, this woman's food is sweet. People ate and wiped their mouths slowly. Some closed their eyes while chewing. Some licked their fingers unconsciously and laughed in embarrassment when they noticed. And then someone said it. That was the beginning. Sweet lick fingers. The name stuck like oil on skin. By the second month, nobody asked for Mama Deshina again. They asked, where is Madame Sweet Lick Fingers? Some people from other areas started coming. Drivers would stop their buses and shout, Sweet Lick Fingers. Passengers would climb down willingly, even if it wasn't their destination. By noon, the food was always finished. Always. People will knock pots in frustration. How can food finish this early? Others will snap back. If you know, you know. Come earlier tomorrow. And they did. Earlier and earlier. Until Mama Adeshina had to wake by 4 a.m., pounding pepper under moonlight, firewood crackling as neighbors still slept. Yet she never complained. Not once. It happened slowly, then all at once. One day, a rich man driver stopped at a buka. The man tested the food later and demanded to meet the woman who cooked it. Another day, a politician's convoy stopped. Another day, a radio presenter mentioned her on air, laughing as he said, if your wife cannot cook like Madame Sweet Lick Fingers, forgive her. Before anyone realized it, Mama Deshina had moved. Her new restaurant stood right by a bossy bus stop in the heart of Ibadan. Big signboard, bright colors, plastic chairs neatly arranged, fans spinning lazily, clean towels that shocked people who remembered the old buka. The sign read, Madame Sweet Lick Fingers, Ibadan's pride. From morning till afternoon, The place was chaos. People lined up from inside the restaurant, out the door, onto the roadside. Sometimes the queue reached the bus stop itself. Conductors shouted. Hawkers whiffed through bodies, yet nobody complained. They waited, smiling, chatting, laughing, waiting for food. Something strange began to happen in Ibadan. Married women started abandoning their kitchens. At first, it was once in a while. Madam licked fingers. I'm tired today. Let's buy her food. Then it became a habit. Pot stayed clean. Stove stayed cold. Men stopped eating at home. One woman shouted at her husband, "Are you rejecting my food?" The man replied, "No, your food is good, but hers is better. I'm eating from Madam Lick fingers today." Quarrels erupted, jealousy brewed, yet the queue at the restaurant only grew longer. Despite all the expansion, one thing never changed. Mama Adesina cooked everything by herself, always alone, without getting tired. She sat in the kitchen, surrounded by huge pots, staring endlessly. Big cauldrons of soup bubbled like they were alive. Steam clung to the walls. Pepper stunk the eyes. The smell alone could make a hungry man dizzy. She cooked without resting, without yawning, without slowing down, without calling for help. The staff, mostly young girls, were only allowed to serve customers. Nobody stayed in the kitchen with her, ever. If anyone tried, she would smile and say softly, "Please, go outside. Let me do my work." Ejo eloshiwanyu, kinshisheni mi. People thought it was discipline. Others thought it was pride. Some said she was just protecting her secret recipes. But one girl was not satisfied. Her name was Kemi, the curious one. She was young, slim, sharp-eyed. She had worked there for months, serving plates, wiping tables, shouting orders. She watched customers eat like people under a spell. She watched grown men lick plates, watched pregnant women beg for extra soup, watched rich people wait patiently like beggars, and every day the same question burned inside her. How? How could one woman cook like this? How could the taste never change? How could the food finished every day? Yet, Mama Deshina never looked tired. What is going on? One hot afternoon, after the last pot was scraped empty, Mama Deshina wiped her hands and said casually, "I'm going to buy some ingredients." Kemi nodded, but something twisted inside her chest. Because Mama Deshina didn't head toward the market, she turned the other way, toward the thick bush behind the bus stop. Under the scorching Ibadan sun, Kemi's heart began to race. Ingredients? What is that? In the bush? No. Curiosity grabbed her by the throat. Quietly, carefully, she followed. The noise of the city faded. The air grew still. The bush swallowed sound. Kemi's eyes widened as she watched her madam step deeper into the thick granary wrapper. Lifted slightly, paced steady, like someone who knew the path very well. Fear crawled up Kemi's spine, yet her feet kept moving. "What are you hiding, this woman, Madam Lick Fingers?" she asked. And just as she pushed past the last cluster of leaves, Kemi froze. Her breast caught, her eyes widened in pure shock. What she saw made her knees weakened, and in that moment, Ibadan never really knew what they ate. Kemi's heart was beating too loudly. She was sure of it. The sound felt like it was echoing through the bush, louder than the rustling leaves, louder than the insects inside from the heat. Every step Mama Deshina took ahead of her felt deliberate, unhurried, confident, as though the path had mesmerized her feet. The sun burned overhead, sharp and merciless. Sweat ran down Kemi's spine, soaking her thin blouse. Her wrapper clung to her face, Her wrapper clung to her thighs as she moved carefully, bending low, pushing aside leaves that scratched her arms. Then Mama Deshina slowed. Kemi froze. The woman stopped completely. Silence fell. No birds, no insects, just heat and waiting. Slowly, Mama Deshina turned her head slightly, not fully, just enough. Who is following me? Her voice was calm, almost lazy. Kemi's blood ran cold. Before the woman could turn fully, Kemi darted sideways, plunging deeper into the bush. Thorns tore at her skin. Dry branches snapped under her feet. She crouched behind a cluster of wild shrubs, pressing her mouth with both hands to silence her breathing. Her chest burned, her eyes stunned. She waited. Mama Adeshina stood still for a long moment, then chuckled slowly. Human beings, fear never lets you know the road. Then she continued walking. Kemi stayed there for a long time before daring to follow again. Fear had wrapped its fingers around her neck, but curiosity was tighter. The bush opened suddenly. Right there, standing like an ancient witness, was a massive iroko tree. Its roots rose above the ground like colored snakes. The bark was dark, scarred, and damp. Even though there had not been no rain, the air around it felt heavy, thick, as though breathing required permission. Mama Adeshina stopped beneath it. She placed a bucket down gently. Kame hid behind the fallen log, her body trembling. Then something moved. Not leaves, not wind. A figure stepped out from behind the tree. At first, Kemi thought it was a man. Then she realized it was more like a shadow shaped like a man. Tall, thin, no clear face, no eyes she could recognize. Just darkness where features should be. Her stomach twisted violently. The thing extended its hand. Mama Adeshina bowed slightly, not in fear, but in familiarity. The shadow handed her a plastic bucket. No words. Mama Adeshina squirted. Kemi's eyes widened in horror as the woman removed tiny strands of hair. Hair Kemi recognized. Hair that always fell from Mama's head while she cooked. Then she did something worse. She removed her underwear. Kemi nearly screamed. Mama Deshina washed the underwear carefully in the bucket. She washed her private parts, slow and deliberate, murmuring words too low to hear. The water in the bucket turned cloudy, then reddish. Kemi's hand shook violently. The shadow man reached into a black nylon bag, collected something from the bucket, something Kemi could not see fully, and then vanished into the bush. Just like that. Gone. No footsteps. No sound. Mama Deshina stood up and smiled silently. The shadow reappeared moments later, placing another black nylon bag at her feet. This time, it spoke. The voice was wrong. Too many echoes. Too deep. Too close. Do as you always do. Pour this water into pot. Use the menstruation pad you are using now to cook. Kemi felt her soul leave her body. You will become richer than me. Everyone who comes to Ibadan will eat from you. Mama Adeshina nodded slowly. No shock, no fear, only satisfaction. The shadow disappeared forever into the trees. Kemi staggered backward. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her legs felt boneless. She whispered nonsense, broken words trembling and stumbling from her mouth. Impossible. My God, what did I just see? She turned and ran. Not the same path, a different route. Branches slapped her face. Stones cut her feet. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it would burst out of her chest. She did not stop running until she reached the road. That night, sleep rejected her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the tree, the shadow, the red water, the smile. At dawn, with eyes swollen and voice shaking, Kemi told her mother everything, bit by bit, every single details. She left nothing out. Her mother, Mama Kehinde, a quiet woman, hardened by years of market struggle, listened without interrupting. When Kemi finished, the room was silent. Then her mother said softly, "I believe you." Kemi collapsed into tears. Her mother held her tightly. "But you must not tell anyone. We must know what to do carefully." She warned her. She prayed over her. Then she said the hardest thing. "Badaloshishe, go back to work." Kemi watched and swore she wouldn't, but fear of something worse made her obey. 2 days later, she returned. She pretended to be sick. When Mama Deshina sent everyone away to cook, Kemi sneaked back, and she saw it, the reddish water. She poured into a boiling pot, hair falling freely into the soup. Mama Deshina smiling and cooking very excitingly and nodding her head. Kemi covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. The whole body was shook, and in that moment, she understood that Ibadan was eating something that was never food. Thank you, everyone. As you await the part 2 of this story, we'll bring to you very soon. Please, I'd like you to share, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section. And please like as the next story in the part 2 comes up. Watch out and see what happens to Kemi.